Good morning, Hedgehogs. So today we are going to try to sequence the story of Little Red Riding Hood that we have been reading and enjoying this week. So as you can see, there are 7 pictures from the story on the screen, and I'm going to see if I can put them in the right order by thinking about what happens at the beginning, middle and end of the story. So at the start of the story, Little Red Riding Hood is with her mother, who gives her a basket of food to take to her grandma's house. So this must be the first picture from the story. So here's Little Red Riding Hood with her mother, who asked her to take a basket of food to her poorly grandmother's house. So now I need to draw an arrow to the next part of the story. I'm going to put it in order. There's my arrow. So to get to Grandma's house, Little Red Riding Hood has to walk through the forest with her basket of food. So she walks and she walks and she walks through the forest. So that's my next picture. And I'm going to draw an arrow ready for the one that comes next. Now, when she's in the forest, she meets a woodcutter who asks her where she's going. And unfortunately, a big bad wolf is listening from behind the tree. So, here is Little Red Riding Hood with the woodcutter who was asking where she was going, and there are the ears of a big bad wolf who's listening from behind the tree. Okay, so I'll draw an arrow going down now, ready for the next picture. Okay, then she gets to Grandma's house and she knocks on the door. So here's the door of Grandma's cottage. I'm going to draw my arrow going this way now to the next space for the next picture. Now, when she looks at Grandma, she notices some things about Grandma, doesn't she? Oh, Grandma, what big eyes you have. All the better to see you with, my dear. And oh, Grandma, what big ears you have. All the better to hear you with, my dear. And oh, Grandma, what big teeth you have. All the better to eat you with. And then, who jumps out of bed but the big bad wolf ready to eat Little Red Riding Hood? So here is a picture of the big bad wolf. And Little Red Riding Hood looks like she's screaming, "Ah, help!" And luckily, in comes the woodcutter to save the day and rescue Little Red Riding Hood, chasing away the big bad wolf and waving his axe in the air. So I've put all the pictures in the right order, so that means I have sequenced the story. It's in the right order now. Now I'm going to have a go at telling the story from the story map. Once upon a time there was a little girl called Little Red Riding Hood who lived with her mother. Early one morning her mother asked her to take a basket of food to her poorly grandmother, but her mother warned her not to talk to any strangers. So she walked and she walked and she walked into the deep dark forest. When she was in the deep dark forest, she met a woodcutter who asked her where she was going. Unfortunately, a wicked grey wolf was listening from behind the tree. When she got to Grandma's house, she knocked on the door. And she heard a voice saying, "Come in, my dear." So Little Red Riding Hood went into Grandma's house and went into Grandma's bedroom. She looked at Grandma and said, "Oh, Grandma, what big eyes you've got." "All the better to see you with, my dear," replied Grandma. And she said, "Oh, Grandma, what big ears you've got." "All the better to hear you with, my dear," replied Grandma. "No, Grandma, what big teeth you've got." "All the better to eat you with," said the big bad wolf as he jumped out of bed dressed as Grandma. Little Red Riding Hood screamed, "Ah!" And luckily the woodcutter came running through the door, waving his axe in the air, nearly chopping off the big bad wolf's tail. The big bad wolf ran into the forest and was never seen again. And from that day on, Little Red Riding Hood promised not to talk to any strangers. The end. Okay, now head back to today's page on the website and find out what your next activity is.